I don't know why, but my parents somehow let me and my brother watch Dumb and Dumber as a kid. We used to watch it every Friday, like for 2 years straight. I watched that movie so many times, more than any other movie. And it's an incredibly funny movie. It was back then, it still is to this day. However, there's a lot of darker humor in it. And I'm just going to tell you, there's no way in hell that our society would allow such a movie to be created in this day. And that's an unfortunate thing, unfortunately. But when you look back on this film with eyes from 2021 or beyond, whenever you're watching this video, there's some things in there that are a lot darker than I remembered as a child. The entire film kind of is predicated on this kidnapping, this abduction and ransom of this very wealthy man. Our character Lloyd, who's played by Jim Carrey, who does an amazing job, and his roommate Harry, played by Jeff Daniels, amazing cast here. Lloyd is driving Mary, who's played by Lauren Holly. You'll remember her if you've seen this film. She's unforgettable. He's driving her to the airport in his limo. Now after she exits the limo, she goes into the airport. She's in one of the main terminal areas, and she just kind of sets down her suitcase in a very busy area. And there's no way that would fly in this day and age. If you saw somebody, no matter who they were, setting down a random briefcase in the middle of an airport, security would come pretty quickly and take a look at that. That'd be very suspicious. But this is back in 1994, of course, so it's a different world, my friends. Now, Lloyd sees this, and he immediately gets out of his limo, runs in there, and he attempts to get the suitcase. He grabs it right before another group of people that were going to grab it were going to do so. He has no idea that Mary intentionally abandoned it. He thinks that she somehow forgot it. And so this kind of sets off the course of the film as Lloyd sets out to return the case to Mary. Now, Lloyd kind of comes off as a stalker here, my friends. I mean, he's a lovable character, right? But Lloyd and Harry's goal ultimately is to return the suitcase to Mary. But we know that Lloyd really wants to win her heart. Now, there's this whole theory that Lloyd and Harry might have been something more than just friends, and that he got bored with Harry and decided to pursue Mary. And then later on, after pursuing Mary and getting to the point where that was not going to go anywhere, that in 1996, 2 years later, he kind of changes his name, his identity to Chip Douglas, and becomes the central character of the 1996 film, The Cable Guy. Another creeper-like individual that's obsessive and stalks people. And it very well fits into the Jim Carrey canon. And that might seem a little bit out of there, but really nothing crazier than what we see in Dumb and Dumber. Anyways, my friends, like I said, Lloyd falls in love with a woman that he hardly knows. He literally has this brief interaction with Mary, during this limo drive, talks to her a little bit, and he's pretty much obsessed with her at that point. It's certainly a creepy thing, and his obsession to go across the country just to return this, simple briefcase to her. He doesn't know what's inside of it for most of the film. It's not really romantic as much as it is just straight out creepy. So I mentioned that there's another group of people that are attempting to get the suitcase. There's this guy named Mental. His real name is Joe Mentalino. He's kind of like a mafioso guy. Now, we know that Mental has these ulcers, and he has to take these medications for them, right? So he poses as a hitchhiker so that Lloyd and Harry will pick him up. They end up going to eat at this restaurant, and they think that they're going to play a trick on him, and they end up putting these chili peppers in his burger, and while he's out making a call, and he's about to get ready to off them. So he has this bad reaction. He ends up on the floor, and he tells them that he needs his medication. Now, he's carrying rat poison with him, and they unintentionally give him the rat poison and off him. It's a very dark scene. It's hilarious at the same time, my friends. But I don't know that that would fly today. So we see that Lloyd actually directly pretty much offs somebody, but that's not it. In the film, we also see that he often fantasizes about doing such thing. It truly shows how unstable Lloyd is. He fantasizes about slaying people who stand in his way of Mary, like when she's returned to her abducted husband, Bobby. Lloyd has this quick image of taking a gun from a cop and shooting him. And in addition to that, we see Lloyd have these fantasies about going to this restaurant and fighting for her and literally ripping a man's beating heart out. His parakeet gets off as well. There's a little bit of animal cruelty joked about in this film, which would definitely not fly in this day and age. Earlier in the film, Lloyd and Harry are fleeing their apartment, and they mistake the bad guys as debt collectors, so they get out of there. While they're out of their house, Mental comes in there. He finds Harry's beloved parakeet, Petey, and he pops its head off. We don't get to see this, but we do get to hear the sounds of it. And it's pretty disturbing, especially to anybody that does not like, has any kind of sensitivity to animal cruelty going on. And if that wasn't bad enough, my friends, then we find out later on that Lloyd duct tapes the head of the bird back on, and to make a little bit of money, he sells the dead bird to a blind kid. That is messed up, my friends. It's hilarious, though. And Lloyd continues this behavior. Later on in the film, he's at this benefit charity thing, and he literally ends up offing an endangered owl. Now, we know he doesn't do this intentionally. He does it by popping the cork off of a champagne bottle, but he still just has this tendency to destroy things that he comes across and take out life. Also takes an interesting stab at certain male stereotypes. We have this character named Seabass, who they kind of they accidentally make him angry at a restaurant, and then later on in the film, Lloyd's at this gas station, and he's tinkling all over the toilet, completely missing, by the way, the whole entire time. And he sees this little bit of graffiti in there that says, "For a good time, lo and behold, around 2:15 a.m. you can get some manly love on this date." Sure enough, it's 2:15 a.m. and Seabass, this character that he had angered earlier in the film, comes in, and we get this heavy sense that Seabass is going to do some bad things and assault Lloyd. Now, luckily, because of the way things play out, Harry comes in and smashes the door and literally knocks Seabass out. But we were about to see something much darker happen. And through all the bad stuff that really goes down in this film, it doesn't have a happy ending for our main characters. Dumb and Dumber ends on a sadder note in some ways. After everything they've been through, Lloyd and Harry have no choice but to walk back home, although there's really not much of a home for them at all. They're homeless at this point. The cops have confiscated their nest egg, all their money. Their motorbike is broken down. Mary decided to stay with her husband, and they're essentially homeless and lost in the desert, walking, trying to figure out where the next town is, which way they're going. And they make the situation worse on themselves. There's a bus of bikini dressed girls that are looking for a couple boys to help tan them on tour, something that seems like it'd be a great opportunity for Harry and Lloyd. But they just don't catch the drift. They let it go. They let it pass on. So the movie ends on a darker note for our characters. Now, we could literally dive heavily into the detailed jokes and one-liners that make this film so dark, but just looking at it from an outside perspective in 2021, there's just absolutely no way that a film like this could be made in this day and age. And that's really unfortunate, my friends, because it's a very clever film. Some people call it stupid. Some people think that the humor doesn't really it doesn't do anything for them, but it's really a clever film that you can watch 100 times and still find something new about, something you didn't catch before that adds up, and is brilliant in that way. It was certainly one of the best films that Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels had ever made, in my opinion, and it's a classic. It's a classic comedy film. Now, by the way, my friends, some of these videos are not able to be monetized due to some of the darker content that we discuss, and because of that, I have to thank my patrons for helping out making these videos possible, even when the videos aren't designed to serve ads, or at least ads that come back. They make it all possible. Thank you to the patrons. If you want to join, you can as well. There's a link in the description, and patrons get stickers, t-shirts, and other cool stuff, and always a shout out in my videos. Let me know what you think about Dumb and Dumber in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Have you seen it? Do you think that a film like it could be possibly made in this day and age, with the way that society treats, just how woke the culture is and all that? I hope you guys are having an amazing day, staying cool or warm or whatever suits you best. And I will talk to you guys again soon. And as always, adios, amigos.